All right, what's up out there to all of my fellow gold diggers? This is your girl Rita, also known as the self proclaimed gold digger. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. I am so glad to have you. But if you are a fellow gold digger, welcome back. I love and I appreciate each and every one of you. Tonight it is Tipsy Tuesday, and tonight's topic we are continuing with our discussion about I will teach you to be rich, excuse me, by Ramit Sete. And tonight we're talking about how you can spend smarter so that you can invest more. Okay. Before we jump into it, let me do my quick social media checks and um, we will get started. And if you didn't join on last week we talked about credit, making sure you have good credit, the importance of having good credit, as well as us talking about the right types of banking accounts that you should have, high yield savings accounts, and things of that nature. So if you haven't seen that video from last week, be sure to check it out. All right, hold on. So I know I'm good on one end, but let me see. I'm having a little issue here, but let me see if everything's okay. I hope y'all have been having a great week. Hopefully, your week is off to a great start. Let's see. Okay, we are good there. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. If you are new to Tipsy Tuesday, I am so glad to have you. But basically, what we do every Tuesday night at 10 p.m., I know it's a little late, is I share some tips as we take some sips. So tonight, you do not have to drink on anything alcoholic. Lately, I have just been drinking water. Your girl is trying to be healthier. So that is all I'm sipping on tonight, but you can have your beverage of choice. So that is all we do every Tuesday night, Tipsy Tuesday. And we do have a Tipsy Tuesday song, which I am going to do right now. Once you hear the song, that is your official welcome to Tipsy Tuesday. All right, here we go. Tipsy Tuesday, Tipsy Tuesday, Tipsy Tuesday, get your tips and pass the dues. Say Tipsy Tuesday. All right, y'all. So there are no church announcements this time. I don't have any special announcements coming up this week. It's only Tuesday, y'all, but it feels like it's been a long week. I have been extremely tired today, but I got some energy so we could do the Tipsy Tuesday for tonight. So, like I mentioned, tonight's topic, we are talking about how you can spend smarter in order to be able to invest more. And I'm covering the book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sete. Tonight, I'm going to kind of go out of order. So I told you last week that I was going to be covering chapters 3 and 4. Chapter 3 is talking about get ready to invest. And then chapter 4 is talking about conscious spending. So I'm actually going to start with the conscious spending chapter and then go into the investment chapter, because I think the way I have it outlined for me to talk about it is just going to flow a little bit better that way. So let me pull up all of my notes so we can get into it. All right. So chapter 4 in his book is conscious spending. And you might be like, what exactly is conscious spending? So basically, he was saying that a lot of times we are spending money unconsciously, and we're spending it on things that, I won't say that we don't enjoy, but we're just like randomly spending our money on things. But with conscious spending, it means that you are cutting costs on spending on things that you don't love in order to spend extravagantly on the things that you do love. So if you decide, hey, you really enjoy, I don't know, taking trips or something like that. So you might cut your spending in one area. Let's say you enjoy taking trips. So because of that, you don't go eat out a whole lot. during the week. You pack your lunch, things of that nature, so that you can save your money and take these trips, once a month, once a quarter, however you do it. So that is basically what conscious spending is. You are choosing not to spend on certain items so that you can spend more extravagantly on other items. So, and he made a clear delineation. It's like, it's not about being cheap. It's about being more conscious about what you are spending money on. Because there was a statistic he quoted in the book, and I was really, I won't say I was surprised, but it was kind of shocking that consumer spending accounts for about 70% of the American economy. So we are spending 70% of our money is what is fueling the economy, and it's fueling our spending. Also, he had some other statistics in his book, or other things that he mentioned, that right now Americans, we are actually spending more money on things. We are like spending more than we actually make. And also we are spending more, but we're not necessarily happier, because even though we're spending a lot of money or consuming or buying a lot of different things. So even though we're spending more, we're buying more stuff, we're accumulating more stuff, it's not equating to us being happier. So, but he is suggesting that when you do conscious spending and not just spending, I don't even want to say frivolously, but you're just spending on different things and not necessarily absolutely spending on the things that you love, that is why you may not be as happy. So he touches upon that. I have shared with y'all before, pretty much anytime we're tackling money, there is a mindset issue that you also have to tackle too. So knowing your money, being able to grow your money, being able to invest your money, it is a mindset thing. A lot of it, yes, is education, or some of it is education, but a lot of us just need to shift our thinking and shift our mindset when it comes to money, how we're viewing our money, how we're spending our money, how we're saving our money, how we're investing our money. So we have to shift that way of thinking. And so he says to focus on conscious spending. And he also mentions that a lot of our spending is also dictated by the people around us, like our friend group, because sometimes we are made to feel less than if we don't have certain things compared to our friend group. So y'all heard the saying, keeping up with the Joneses is very, very real. So he used an example where he stated that if you look at a group of friends, they'll often look similar, like they'll be dressed similar. They might have, similar vehicles and things of that nature, similar things, or, live in a similar neighborhoods, that kind of thing. Because, if you see your friend doing this, sometimes people are trying to want to keep up, and they're like, oh, well, they got this, I should have that. Or your friend might be telling you like, girl, why don't you have this by now? You should be able to get this or afford this or whatever, just because they have it. So some of our spending, or a lot of our spending, is also influenced by seeing people in our friend group. And now that has even expanded even more. We don't even have to be friends with the people. Sometimes when we're looking on social media, well, we're friends with people that we follow, or whatever, quote unquote friends, people that we follow on social media, or who we see on social media, we might see certain things and then are influenced to spend money on those things because we see these other people having it. So just be conscious of what you're spending money on. And he also says, don't feel bad about you not spending money on something that someone else feels that you should spend money on. But he said there's a difference between conscious spending and cheap people. So you're not just being cheap. You're not just spending because you don't have the money. You're spending because you're not spending because you just choose not to spend on those particular items or that particular item. You are consciously making the decision that I don't want to spend money on this. Yes, I have the money to spend on it, but I just choose not to spend on it. Okay. So that is what conscious spending is about. And let's see. I see I have some comments. I'm going to put them on the screen. What's up, Still Rocks? I see you. He says, we in here. And Cynthia, I am so glad you were able to join live. I know you've been catching the replay. She says, hi, Rita and the Gold Digger fam. Y'all, Still Rocks and Cynthia are some of my A1 day ones. Oh, and thank you, Cynthia. She says liked and shared. And she's also saying hello to Still Rocks. All right. So I'm going to give y'all some examples of like conscious spending, as well as ways that you can other ways that you can start spending smarter. So conscious spending, that is the biggest takeaway of how you can be smarter about what you are spending money on. So some examples of conscious spending is only spending money on what you love. For me, and I've used this example before, like the car that I have is the car that I like. Like, I'm not into cars. I'm not into cars. I'm not into certain things that other people are into. Like, I don't have to have the newest ride or the latest ride or the latest thing. So I don't spend money on a car. Now, my car is going to look nice. Like, it's going to be decent. It's not going to be a hoopty or something like that. But I'm just not into cars or like that. Like, I don't even know, like, probably if I saw a nice car, I probably wouldn't even recognize it, because I'm just not into that kind of stuff. So I consciously spend money when it comes to my car on something that I know is reliable, something that I know that looks nice, it looks decent, and it's going to get me from point A to point B. That is my main goal, because if you look inside of my car, I definitely need to clean it up. So I just don't put as much emphasis, or I shouldn't even say value, because I do value the car. Like, I need it. I value it for getting me, from to work to home safely. Like, I value it in that aspect. Like, I need it to be safe, I need it to be efficient, I need it to be reliable. Those are the things I value when it comes to a car, but not so much the looks. Like, I need it as long as it don't look terrible, as long as it don't look bad, as long as it's not too old. That is what I value when it comes to a car. Now, other people, they might want the latest and greatest car. They might want to have the newest, flyest ride. And that's them, as long as they're conscious in what they are spending on. The other thing, when it comes to conscious spending, and I won't say I get a lot of, I guess I do get a lot of flack. And I get a lot of flack in my friend group. So I'm gonna call out some of my friends, is with my phone. I have an Android, a Samsung phone. I do not have an iPhone. I do not see the hype. I do not see the benefits. I do not see the difference, and I do not care. Okay. I do not care about the iPhone at all. At all. It's not the greatest. My phone is just as good, if not better. I jokingly say it is better, which it's probably accurate. It is better. So I don't see the hype and even with the Samsung phone that I have, I just needed to be able to, I won't even say make phone calls, because I don't even talk on the phone like that. But yes, I do need to make phone calls when I do want to talk and send text messages and be able to pull up my internet and, be able to search the web, take pictures, do my videos, things of that nature. I needed to have a good quality camera. I needed to have good speed so that, I can send this stuff quickly. And I don't really care about what it looks like. I don't, all that kind of stuff, because usually I'm going to have a cover on it. So it's going to look, it's going to look the way I want it to look. So I don't know. I don't see the hype. It's not, I am not team Apple or iPhone. I mean, I don't see what the big deal is. Like, y'all are like, well, let me shut up. I don't see what the big deal is. Okay. I really don't. That is just not my thing. And even when it comes to a smartphone, like, I don't even have the Samsung Galaxy. I have, like, Samsung, thankfully, they have different lines or whatever. And I think the Samsung is like their S line. And then I have what's called their A line. And I call it their economy line, because the economy line is just as good as the S line, but it's a fraction of the price. And so I will get the top of the line A-line phone that is pretty comparable to the top of the line S-line phone. And literally the top of the line new Samsung Galaxy, might be $1,200, $1,400. And my phone is less than, like, I don't think I've ever paid more than $150. And I think even that's a stretch for my phone. I want to say, because I usually find it on a discount or on sale. So I don't think I paid more than safely 150, but honestly I really think I haven't paid more than $100. And it's the top of the line phone, but it's just I call it their economy line. So it is what it is. So that is my conscious spending when it comes to things of that nature. I also do conscious spending in another category, but hold on, I see I have some comments coming in. So let me see what y'all are saying. Let me see. Hopefully y'all not giving me too much pushback about this iPhone, because I know them team iPhones, y'all act a little cray if I'm keeping it real over something that is old. Like, why? All right, so Still Rock. Oh, he's saying, hey Cynthia, writing a paper and listening. Oh, okay, and sipping on some water. Just drank a coffee though. Actually had 2 papers. I hope everything goes well though, Still Rocks, with you writing the papers. Hopefully they not due tomorrow. Not if they are, you got a lot to do. And then Cynthia says, my pastor has started a book club and training with us. Oh, that's wonderful. The book that we are discussing is The Money Challenge, 31 Days of Discovering God's Design for You and Your Money. It's an easy read. Actually, let me write that down real quick. I might check out that book, The Money Challenge, 31 Days of Discovering God's Design. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Cynthia. But I'll check that out because that seems interesting. And then Still Rock says, I tried to hang on to my Droid for the longest. It's just everyone around me had it. I have a 7-year-old phone. When you say had it, you mean had the iPhone or had it? The 7-year-old phone. And I get it because like before I got this phone, before I got my new phone, I had my previous phone for 3 years and it was still working, y'all. It is still working. Like, I don't know, it's in a drawer somewhere, but that phone is still working up until I got this at the end of last year. So like I think I got it like on a Black Friday sale. So up until the end of last year, I was still using that phone. There was nothing wrong with it. I just said, hey, let me get a new one because, well, one, I will say this. I was running out of storage space. And even though I could put another, like an extra storage thing in there for my memory and everything, I was like, it's time. Let me just get a new phone and go from there. So that was the only issue. And that's what kind of caused me to look. But I can still send videos. And for a while, I was still shooting my videos on that phone because I still had internet access. And even though, I didn't have phone access, like phone service access, I still had internet access. So I was still using that for all of my videos. So like all those little Christmas videos and stuff I posted, they were still shot on the old phone, probably like in January, mid-January. So I officially switched over and started using that, but nothing is wrong with that phone. I don't know how much money I would get for selling it because it wasn't that expensive to begin with, but nothing is wrong with that phone. It still works and it's 3 years old and it ain't never had a cracked screen or nothing, like nothing. Meanwhile, Team iPhone, y'all more cracked than a sidewalk. Like, what is going on? I don't understand. But anyway, so it was just my personal preference. I was like, it's time for an upgrade. Cynthia says, I have an Android too. It's a good phone, but not ridiculously priced. Exactly. Because when they drop, they all break. Mine hasn't broken. Let me knock on wood because I don't want to jinx myself. But that other one I had 3 years, it did. I did drop it. I dropped it plenty of times. And by the grace of God, it did not crack or anything like that. And this one has been dropped already. And I'm trying to be extra careful because I was like, I don't want to jinx myself with that because I was talking a lot about like, hey, this phone, my old phone hadn't cracked in 3 years. I'll be daggone if I crack this new one in the first year. But yeah. Oh goodness. Still Rock says they are due at 11:59. Ooh, you got like an hour and a half. Okay. We're gonna wish you the best, and we're gonna pray that you get it all done. April says, "Hello, everyone. Hey, April, good to see you." And Cynthia saying, "Understand still rocks. I do my best writing during crunch time." Oh gosh, I can't take that pressure anymore. And then Cynthia is telling everyone, "Hey." And let's see if there's anything else. And then I'll share with you one other conscious spending thing that I do. And okay, he's saying, Stillbox is saying he does have an older phone. And Cynthia says, as long as my phone still works, I let my family member who wants it have my upgrades. Well, that is very generous of you to give them the upgrades and everything. But yeah, I am consciously choosing not to spend. I can't, you know what? I cannot see myself spending $1,200 on a phone. And once again, like I said in the beginning, money, spending money, saving money, investing money, it's a mindset thing. And I cannot wrap my head around spending $1,200 on a phone. I cannot mentally wrap my head around that. I have not even spent $1,200 on a computer. So I cannot see myself spending $1,200 on a phone. So there is a mental block for me, which it works in my favor, that I just cannot see myself spending that on a phone. I also cannot see myself financing a phone, like how people are buying it, and it's just part of their monthly plan that they pay. I can't. I don't know. I don't want to be paying on a phone for 2 years like it's a car. Like I mentally I mentally cannot process that. And that could just be my old school way of thinking, but I cannot see myself doing that. I just can't. And that's not to say anything against someone who does, but mentally my brain is like, no way. No way we paying on a phone for 2 years. No way. Like no way. Well, I just can't do it. But anyway, another thing I choose to consciously spend money on. Now this is where I will splurge. So everything I told you about before is me like saving money, like choosing not to spend money. So this is one area where I will choose to spend a little bit more money, but y'all still don't laugh at me because it's not like a whole lot more money. And that is with groceries. Like when it comes to groceries, I love shopping at Publix. Just went shopping at Publix, and their slogan is where shopping is a pleasure. And it truly was a pleasure today shopping at Publix. Even the customers in there, they were so nice. They were coming up to me, helping me. I helped a older lady. She needed some help getting some stuff. They were just it was so complimentary. The workers actually speak to you, ask if you need help. When I was checking out, the lady made sure I had one of my coupons. They asked if I got everything. And I told them no. There was one thing that I was looking for that I did not find. And guess what? She pulled it up on her app and looked it up to see if the store had it and said that they did. And they went and they got it for me. And not only that, because it was a sale item, she still gave me a rain check for the item, even though I got it. And this was all at the cash register and everything. So I love shopping at Publix, where shopping is a pleasure because the clientele is different. Like the people who come in are a little bit different. The customer service is different. It's just a good experience. Now, where I don't shop or where I don't go into the store, I had to go into there. I won't say I had to go, but I chose to go in there just this week, but I hadn't been in there in probably months. And that is Walmart. I do not like going shopping at Walmart. I do not. I will avoid it like the plague. Even though I did get my phone from there. I did order the phone. I ordered it online, picked it up, did the little pickup. But you will not see me strolling the aisles at Walmart. If for some reason I need something from there, I'll order it online and have it shipped to my home, or I'm gonna pick it up. I'm not going in there. I don't feel like dealing with those people. I don't want to deal with the staff, and I definitely don't want to. Well, I ain't gonna say nothing about the customers. I want to see some of the customers, and I definitely don't want to deal with the staff. So There are certain places I do not shop, and Walmart is one of them. I don't like shopping in Walmart at all. So I choose to shop at Publix. Also, I don't mind supporting like the local farmers market and spending a little bit extra on my produce and on like my fruits and vegetables and things of that nature, just so I can have fresh stuff, as well as try and support other, small farmers and things of that nature. But yeah, this is where I don't mind spending a little extra money. I know Publix is a little bit higher, and I will even argue that is really not higher, because most of the stuff I buy is like BOGO. So I'm getting buy one, get one free. So I feel like I'm spending about the same money, but there are certain things in Publix that I will splurge on because it's good and I want it. And I don't mind spending the extra money on that. And I don't care if Walmart's thing is 50 cents cheaper. I'm not going in that store. I am not. I'm not. The piece that it would cost me, it costs way too much. That 50 cent is not worth me losing my piece in that store with the aggravation. Although I will say, when I did go in there this past week, I went in there just to get something for lunch because I didn't bring my lunch and I'm trying not to eat fast food. So I did go in there to grab something for lunch and I wanted some fruit. I will say the cashier there was friendly. So, or I won't say friendly. He was helpful. More so than my past experience, because usually I don't speak to you at all. And he was helpful and directed me to the self-checkout. So I was shockingly surprised, but I was only in there for about 5 minutes. But yeah, that is one of the places I will not spend. I don't care if it's cheaper. I don't care. I will go somewhere else and spend my money. Let's see. And then I'm going to get back on topic. So that is what, hopefully these are examples of conscious spending. Y'all are getting the message about conscious spending and how to spend your money. All right, let's see. April says, I'm not popular. I do need a $1,200 phone to talk to the same 5 people. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. So if that's what you want to do, then that's fine. So conscious spending is just you spending things on the things that you love. Like he used an example in the book where there was a lady who she chose to spend over like $5,000 a year on shoes, because I guess a pair of shoes for her would cost roughly around $300, and she would get 10 or more pairs a year, and she chose to spend like $5,000 on shoes. That's what she chose to spend her money on. But he was saying that in order for her to do that, she chose to live like in a small apartment with a roommate to save money that way, so that she could spend on what she really likes. He also used another example in the book of a guy who spent, now he says he made, the person who spent that much money on the shoes, he said that person was a 6-figure earner. And this next person I'm going to describe is also was also a 6-figure earner. He said this person spent $20,000 going out, like partying, a year or whatever. And that's what he chose to spend money on. And he would go out, 4 nights out the week, and he would spend his money on partying. But same thing, he chose, to live in a smaller apartment. He didn't have any like decorations in his apartment because he's rarely home. He works a lot. And when he's not working, he chooses to go out and he parties. So he's not at home. So he's not spending his money on making sure his apartment looks nice. Because I won't say, this is me interpreting it. It's like, what's the point? I'm not really here to enjoy anything in the apartment. I'm usually out or I'm usually working. So that's what they spend their money on. Now, he was also saying too, because like I said, I'm doing the chapters out of order. He has his investments lined up. So this is extra money that he has to spend in order to participate in these things. So I should have said that at the beginning. Disclaimer: you don't want to be spending. You want to practice conscious spending, but make sure you're not spending on these things if you do not have your investments account set up properly, your savings account set up properly, and your debt paid off. You want to definitely probably get a little bit more conscious with spending and everything. But yeah, so April, is not anything bad about you spending $1,200 on a phone. It's just me personally, I can't see myself doing it. And just like with the car example, I don't see myself spending like a whole bunch of money on some kind of really fancy luxury vehicle, because that's just not my thing. It's just not my thing. Nothing against anybody else who would want to do that, but that's just not what I'm prioritizing in terms of my conscious spending and the stuff that makes me happy and that brings me joy. So if that brings you joy, do what you got to do. I'm not knocking anybody at all. It's just making sure the whole point of that chapter was making sure you are aware of what you're spending and making sure you're spending it because this is something you love and not something that society is telling you to get or your friend circle is telling you to get or something that you think you're supposed to have, but it's actually something you truly desire and you truly want. So that was the main purpose of the conscious spending. And Cynthia says, I'm with you. I have a mental block on high price phones. I have plenty of other things I can use the money for. I'd rather use a flip phone instead. Oh, goodness. Now, Cynthia, I am with you, but I cannot go back to the flip phone unless it's the new flip phone. But even that, I probably have to get used to. But it's certain things I still I use my phone too much. Even though I use my phone a lot, I still don't. There's still certain things that I do not like to do on the phone. I would prefer to do it like on my computer, but which I know a flip phone would not be able to do for me. But yeah, everybody has their own preferences of what they want to spend money on. All right, let's see. T2 Love, welcome. This is my first time seeing you. She says, hi all. I'm so glad that you joined. Welcome to the Gold Digger fam. And Cynthia says, Publix sounds like the Chick-fil-A of grocery stores. It is, y'all. I love shopping at Publix. I love it. It's a little bit pricier. Like even like usually I'm waiting till the last minute around Thanksgiving to get stuff or whatever. Not that I have to cook a whole bunch, but I'm usually waiting till the last minute. But I know if I walk into Publix, it is not going to be, chaotic experience. It's not going to be anything too crazy. They're still going to be helpful, even though it's like the busiest time of the year. And the people speak to you. Like I know I had at least 2 to 3 employees outside of the cashier that I interacted in that spoke to me. And someone else made sure asked me if I needed any help with anything. And the customers in there, like I had at least 3 people speak to me and 2 people walked up to me and they were like, oh, you look so nice today. Like, it's just a whole another vibe. It's a whole nother vibe in there. It's a whole nother vibe. And I definitely can get down with that. And like I said, and then there was a older lady there and she was like, hey, do you mind helping me get this off the shelf? I'm like, sure, no problem. Let me help you with this. So yeah, it's a different vibe in Publix. I love shopping at Publix. They live up to their slogan where shopping is a pleasure. April says, I'm a grocery delivery girl. Walmart just dropped my items off. I'll be in there for 4 for 4 hours looking for bread. Took them 15 minutes, to get all my items and 12 minutes to drive it to me. Yes, I don't do the delivery. I'll do the pickup. Now, I will say, yeah, I'll do the pickup. Publix, I do usually like going in there for the experience. Also, I like shopping their BOGOs. And even though some of the BOGOs are advertised in the app, sometimes I find when I walk the aisle, I'll find some other little BOGOs that for whatever reason wasn't on the app that I'll see. So that's why I like going in there. But I give myself a time limit. I set a timer on my phone and I'm like, depending on how much I need to get, that timer is anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. And it's like, okay, girl, chop, let's wrap it up. Even though it's a good experience, but that's more so because I got other stuff I need to do. There are other grocery stores that I like as well. And those it's not like they have a bad experience, but with them, I'll usually do like the grocery pickup as well. And Publix does have the delivery in their grocery pickup, but it's sponsored by Instacart. And this is where, so like I said, I choose to spend a little bit extra money at Publix, but not with Instacart. Because on Instacart, the products are higher. I don't know how much higher, but I'm like, this is not how much it's supposed to cost. And I'm not willing to pay that for that particular service. So once again, it's just the conscious spending on the things that you enjoy and what makes you happy. Oh, and look at April. She's showing love to T2 Love. She's saying welcome. And so is Cynthia. And let's see. T2 Love says, I live in the country, no, no delivery for me. So, yeah, and you might only have like Walmart or the smaller like grocery stores to go to. And she says, thank you. Cynthia says, my favorite store in Houston is it Me Tienda? I'm guessing it's Me Tienda. I have not heard of that, but I guess there it would be a more Spanish population. April says 5K on shoes. She is living the dream, but she can afford it. She says he said that she lives like with a roommate in a little small space, and that's what she chooses to spend money on. April says you can't mystery shop with a flip phone. No, you can't. I need a good camera, some good video quality. And Cynthia says, for me, I'd rather be frugal on the front end because when I get deeper into my golden years and on my last leg, I want to live la vida loca. Go ahead, Cynthia. You can do it. Live la vida loca. And then T2 Love says, yes, yes. And Still Rock says, Publix is cool. Don't go try and get a sandwich within that last hour for the deli close. LOL. No, because they are packed out now with the deli. I don't even really mess with them like that because, yeah, it's always, even if it's not the last hour, even though a lot of times I am coming in at the last minute. It seems like it's always busy. And actually, my daughter wanted me to get her a sub, but not the fresh made subs, but they usually have some other like pre-made subs. And even that, they are selling out. They were sold out of that. And they've been out of like my salad. Now I didn't really ask for that, but some of that stuff, the stuff is popular in Publix, and you got to be careful because it'll be all out. Cynthia says, I don't actually have one, but if I had to, I would use it proudly, in which my children cringe and disown me. Oh, goodness. Cynthia, yeah, don't use the, watch. Don't use the flip phone. And then T2 Love says, yes, KJ, Roses, and Walmart. KJ, what is the thing? Is it KJ's is like Piggly Wiggly. Now Roses, same thing with now I will go in Roses before I go in Walmart. And then Cynthia says, Me Tienda is a Spanish version of Heb. I haven't even heard of Heb. I guess that is more regional. Just like with Publix, I want to say Publix is like the southeast or the East Coast and Southeast. I'm not sure, but it's a smaller. Publix is a smaller chain, but I love me some Publix. And then T2 Love says true that and says yes. All right, so y'all, let me get back into the conscious spending. Let me pull my notes back up again. Hold on. All right, and let me see. Because I haven't even gotten to the investing. He has some good tips in the investing. So let me just see what I'm going to hit and eliminate that I won't mention. Another way he says for you to kind of like spend smarter is for you to cut your subscriptions. And I know when he said this, I'm glad he elaborated because I think we hear that so many daggone times. Cut your subscriptions, figure out what you're not using. And then some of us do not cut the subscriptions because we're like, I use this. I watch Netflix or I don't know. I listen to Spotify or whatever. But he says, cut your subscriptions and instead do something called a la carte where you just buy it as you need it. So, and he was saying like subscriptions to like your gym membership. So if you know you only been to the gym 2 times this month, you might want to cut that subscription and just get a day pass for those times where you remember or you in the mood and actually go down to the gym. Or if you like, we don't have cable. So if you know, and I don't watch a whole lot of TV, so it's a no-brainer for me not to have cable. But if you know it's only like one show that you watch or a couple of shows that you watch, cut that subscription, wait till the season starts, and then see what, see if you can get it on some other streaming platform that's less expensive, like Hulu or something, or Netflix, or whatever it's on, or see how you can get it only when only when it's debuting. Like there is, I'm waiting for my favorite show to come out or whatever, and then that's when I'll watch TV. And even then I'll watch it when I feel like it or whatever. I probably won't watch it when it airs. But yeah, so those were the kinds of subscriptions he was talking about, as well as you probably do need to look at other subscriptions that you're really not using on a regular basis and see, hey, in the event that I do decide that I want to use this particular subscription, or I need this particular thing, buy it a la carte, and you'll probably end up saving money there. Also, he mentions, and I want to mention two more things. He also says we need to set up savings goals, and that is like just where we're planning on what we are going to be spending money on. So we're not always future thinking. We are kind of like in the moment of what we need to spend money on, but we need to plan the savings goals of what you might need to be spending money on in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year, 2 years from now. And some examples he uses, like, if you, like, we know Christmas is coming, y'all. Christmas is right around the corner. So hopefully you've been saving up money for Christmas. And if you haven't, you want to try and get in the habit of, saving that money so that you're saving all throughout the year. Also, if you know, hey, I like to take a trip for vacation, like even if you don't have anything planned in the moment, go ahead and start saving money, setting aside maybe $50 a week, $25 a week for your vacation that you plan on taking in July or August, because it's coming, and you don't want to just splurge, quote unquote splurge, even though you knew you was going to end up taking some kind of trip, splurge and spend the money or charge it on your credit card. You don't want to do that and be paying that kind of stuff off. He also says if you're planning on buying a home, save up money for that. If you're like, hey, I'm looking to buy a home, and this is why I say we're not always forward thinking, but especially if you're in this, a lot of the things in his book too, I want to say it applies to people who are younger. So if you're definitely in your 20s, early 30s, doing these things can definitely benefit you. If you just graduated from college and one day you want to be able to own a home, he's literally saying you should start planning for that down payment for that home now, so that you could have enough money set up. If eventually one day you want to get married and you're in your early 20s, you should start saving money for that. And that's why I said it's like shifting our mindset to be even more forward thinking about things. And a lot of his tips is like, if you just started when you're younger, same thing with the investment, we'll get into that, you would have so much money saved up over time. And then the other thing is, he was saying he did not want to neglect the fact that there are people in situations where they don't have, enough money to save or invest. Like you are just barely covering your daily expenses and possibly living paycheck to paycheck. So what he suggested though was to really look at your expenses. And I don't have time to get into this, but when we did the Budgetnista's book, Financial Wholeness, I don't know if that's the title, Get Good with Money, Tiffany Alice's book, she really broke it down about how to set up that budget and looking at what's called like your fixed expenses. These are the expenses that aren't going to change. Like they're pretty much going to be the same. You're going to have to pay them each month. That's like your rent, your electricity, your student loan payment. Those kinds of things are fixed expenses. Your flexible expenses are like your groceries, you eating out, your gas, possibly it might be a little bit flexible. So looking at those expenses and so you can't really change a lot of your fixed expenses. And Tiffany's book did a good job of breaking down like the fixed expenses and how you can kind of analyze that. But some of those non-fixed expenses, that are flexible, you can take a hard look at that and see, where can I cut down and spend less money? And I actually someone had challenged me to do a spending free. Well, it wasn't really a spending freeze, but y'all know I've done spending freezes in the past, but they challenged me not to eat any fast food, like not to eat out. I should say not, because I don't really eat fast food, but I do eat out for a week. So we did that challenge. I only broke down one time, but that was last week, but it's still carrying over to this week. And I'm still being conscious about what I'm eating for lunch so that I'm not spending a whole lot of money. Hence why I ended up in Walmart to get me something for lunch instead of in somebody's drive-through to get something for lunch. So just be mindful of that. Take a hard look at those flexible expenses and see where you can cut down. And the other thing he suggested is negotiating a raise if you are currently employed. And he has a whole system of how you can do that, or look more favorable to be able to receive the raise. But you always want to make sure you demonstrate your value to your employer, and then show how your work is contributing to the company's success, and see how you can be fairly compensated. So that was some of the things about spending smarter is with the conscious spending. And let me see these comments real quick, and then I am going to dive into investments. And if we don't finish with the investments, I'm okay with that, because he talks about it later. And that's why I also wanted to put it kind of at the end, because this is like his beginning chapter on investments. And then he's diving a little bit deeper into investments a little bit later in some of the future chapters. But let me see the comments really, really quick. And then I'll talk really briefly about what he had in chapter 3 about investments. And he has some good tips too there. Okay. Cynthia says HEB is a Texas brand. It's along the line of Kroger. Okay. Yeah. I like Kroger. And then Cynthia says there are apps to help keep track of subscriptions. That was a result from free trials. Oh, Cynthia, do you know the names of some of those apps? If you do, can you put it in chat? If not, it's okay. April says, I do that with Game of Thrones. I wait till the season's over, then I'll get HBO for the month. See, it's smart though. It's smart. Because if you know that's the only show you really want to watch, it's like, why pay for this other stuff all throughout the year? And then Cynthia also says, saving for Christmas starts in January. Oh, Cynthia, did you read his book? Because that is exactly what he said. My husband and I love to spoil our grandchildren and great-grandchildren. They all understand we don't do birthdays, and they drop off the list when they get grown. Like, no more stuff from grandma and grandpa. Y'all old enough to do it on your own. All right. Thank y'all for the comments tonight. I'm hoping this is helpful too for everyone. Let's see. What's up, Ivan? Ivan is a good buddy from high school. Ivan says, open a brokerage account, invest 5% of your pay and any free money you have lying around consecutively. Great tip. And that is actually a great segue for me to get into the investment chapter that he talked about, because he has a step-by-step guide of what you should do when it comes to investments. So the investments was chapter 3. It says, get ready to invest. So we are going to go through his steps. It was 5 steps, I believe, 5 or 6 steps. So I'm going to see how many steps I can cover tonight. I don't know, because I only got like less than 15 minutes. But step 1 is kind of similar to not exactly, but it's similar to what Ivan is saying. We'll talk about that. I think that is actually what Ivan is mentioning, is actually, I believe, step 3. But for step 1, he says, if your company offers a 401k, as well as a 401k match, invest just enough to get up to the match. So if you don't know, 401k is a type of investment plan, long-term investment plan that your company will offer, or a company may offer. And the match is basically for every dollar you contribute to your 401k, your employer will match your contribution up to a certain amount. So an example of that, and this is what he used in the book. So say if you make $100,000, if you make $100,000 a year, say your company has a 5% match. So basically what they say, what that means is that whatever you contribute to your 401k, they will match it up to 5% of your salary. So 5% of $100,000 is $5,000. So Any contributions that you make up to $5,000, then your company will match it. Now, you can contribute more than that to the 401k, which he talks about later. And I forget what the limit is. And I think when he wrote his book, it was in 2018. So these numbers could be off. Well, I'm not going to say they probably are off. So you need to look up what the current matches are. Now, another benefit of the match is your employer match is not counted towards your contribution limit. So I want to say when he talked about it in the book, I think the match at that time was around $19,000. So if your employer, you using that same example where you made $100,000 and your employer matched up to 5%, so and you contributed 5%. 5,000, so that means that your employer also contributed 5,000, so that's $10,000. So you might think if the contribution limit is 19,000, that all you can contribute is another $9,000. That is not the case because your employer contribution does not count towards the limit. So if all you have contributed so far is $5,000 and the contribution limit is 19,000, you still have $14,000 that you can contribute. So essentially, anything that your employer matches, if you're already contributing up to the match limit of the contribution limit of the 401k, the match is like extra money for you. So like I said, at the time that he wrote the book, the maximum contribution limit was like $19,000. If your employer contributed something to the match, anything more than that, let's using that same example, that $5,000, now you've contributed $24,000 to your 401k instead of the $19,000. So having an employer who offers a 401k and offers a match is essentially free money. And the 401k is contributed before taxes. So just remember that. So that was step one. Step two, he says that you need to pay off your credit card debt and any personal debt aside from student loans and mortgages. So he means, like, I guess if you have a personal loan, car loan, those kinds of things, those expenses you want to pay off. That was step two. Step three, he says, open a Roth IRA and contribute as much as possible to it. Now, with the Roth IRA, there are income restrictions, and I think the income level was you had to make $135,000 or less, and if so, you can contribute up to $5,500 a year. So that's the only thing with the Roth IRA. There is a limit to how much money you can make in order to open it. So if you make over that amount, you cannot open a Roth IRA. And in his book, he recommends that every young person or anyone who's making under that income restriction should have a Roth IRA, even if they have a 401k by their employer. And I guess one of the reasons why he's saying that is usually when you're younger, you're not making a whole lot of money, or you're not making up to that income limit cap that the Roth IRA has. So you might as well open that account now while you can before you start making more money. And then also he mentions that with the Roth IRA, it allows you to invest in whatever you want. So usually with the 401k, yes, you choose like which plan you want to go into, but most of the it's kind of like picked by your employer. But with the Roth IRA, you can actually choose where you want your money to be invested. Now, with the Roth IRA, it is funded with after tax dollars. So it's after your money has been taxed. But the benefit is when you withdraw it, you are not going to be taxed on your withdrawings. And another good thing about the Roth IRA is that, well, you are still penalized if you withdraw your earnings before age 59 and a half. And the same thing applies if you withdraw from your 401k before 59 and a half, but you can withdraw any money that you contributed to the 401k, to the Roth IRA without penalty. So, and they call that your principal. So let's say you've contributed $10,000 to your Roth IRA and it's now grown to $15,000. If you need to withdraw some of that money before age 59 and a half, you can withdraw up to $10,000 before, and you will not be penalized for that because that's essentially what you already put into the account. But if you have to withdraw the whole 15,000, now some of that is what you accumulated afterwards, then you can be penalized on the what is it, the overage or whatever, the growth of the account. Also, with the Roth IRA, which I found helpful, is that there are some exceptions that will allow you to avoid the penalty if you have to withdraw money earlier. But it only applies if your Roth IRA has been open for at least 5 years. So that's why if you are a young person, if you can get that account open so you can at least have it open for 5 years, then you can withdraw for certain exceptions without a penalty. And some of those exceptions are like a down payment on a home, for emergencies that might arise, as well as for education. And he stated that it's education not only for you, but for your spouse, for your children, as well as for your grandchildren. So the Roth IRA is very, very, very promising. So let's see. That was step 3. I am going to do step 4. I got so many daggone notes on this. So step 4, I'm going to mention it and then I'll come back to it and then I'm going to look at the comments. So step 4, he says, if you have any money left over, go back to your 401k and contribute as much as possible to it above and beyond your employer match. So just like I used in that example, if your employer is matching up to $5,000, you at least want to contribute $5,000 to your 401k to get the match. But as we mentioned, that's not the maximum limit you can contribute to your 401k. You could still contribute more. So he's saying in step 4, if you have any extra money, go ahead and contribute up to the limit to your 401k if possible. And we're going to talk more about the 401k, but let me just list the other 5 steps really quickly. 6 steps. So step 5 is to get an HSA if you have access to it. Because the HSA is a health savings account, but it can also double as an investment account. The health savings account is also pre-tax money for any health expenses, but it is only available to people with a high deductible insurance plan. So you need to see if you have a high deductible insurance plan. If you do, you need to see if you can qualify for an HSA. The best thing, I love an HSA. Opposed to an FSA. FSA is a flexible spending account, but it's not very flexible to me, versus the HSA, which is the health spending account. Usually the FSA, it usually expires at the end of the year or the end of the quarter or whatever the period. Some of them will expire like December. Some people is to like January. Some people is to February. But whenever it's set to expire, that's when that FSA expires. If you haven't used the money in it, you just lost it. It doesn't roll over. Versus the HSA, you don't have to use it by a certain time. It will continue to roll over, and it can be invested, or it can be part of an investment account. And that is what, hold on. Yeah, it's only available to people with a high deductible insurance plan, and you can invest the money you contribute to your HSA, and it grows tax-free. If you use your funds before, now you're supposed to use it for medical expenses, but if you use your funds before age 65 for non-medical related expenses, there is a penalty. But after age 65, you can use that money from your HSA for anything. And there's no penalty, but it is taxable. So that was step 5. Get an HSA if it's available to you. Step 6 is, if you still have money left over after all this stuff, then open a regular non-retirement taxable investment account and pay extra on your mortgage, as well as consider investing in yourself by opening a business or getting an advanced degree. So that was what he had recommended. And he also had some action steps for you to take, and that was to open your 401k if you have not already done so with your employer, and see if they offer a match. Another step 2, these are different steps. These are action steps, because basically in his book, he wants you to take steps each week. So like each chapter, you're supposed to do different things each week. So this week, he also wants you to make a plan to pay off debt. The third thing he wants you to do is open a Roth IRA and set up automatic payments. And then the fourth thing he wanted you to do is to find out if you're eligible for an HSA. So I am going to look at the comments. And if we still have time, I'm going to go over in more in depth about the 401k. If we don't have time, I will hit that at the top of next Tuesday. So so that y'all can have that information. All right, let me see. All right, so Cynthia says, I used to use one, but I don't remember the name. But my daughter still uses it. I'll find out. Thank you. And that was for the subscription apps you're referring to, Cynthia. So thank you. If you do find out, you can let us know on next week. And then Cynthia also says, we save early because we have over 14 people to buy for and want to get special gifts that they wouldn't normally get. Oh, that is so nice. For you're talking about for like Christmas, with you buying for like your kids and your grandkids. Y'all already know I'm not buying for a whole lot of people. I've joked with y'all before and said, if they not on my tax returns, they not getting a gift. But I mean, that's pretty much almost how it is, with the exception of my parents and my brother, and that's it. But if you ain't on my tax returns, chances are you are not getting a gift. April says, I have an HSA and I love it. Yes, so continue to invest in it. I didn't know, because we have an HSA too, and I didn't know that once you turn 65, you can use the money for anything, and you just pay the taxes on it. I'm like, okay. Cynthia says, this is good information. The book I'm reading addresses the same steps too. Yes. And like I said, I'm going to probably check out that book. And I will say this, now we talked about Tiffany's book, Get Good with Money. And now we're reading, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. These are a lot of the financial books. They do mirror each other. People just deliver the message in a little bit different way. I know, like with him, he does not like talking about a budget. He says he hates a budget. He calls it like your spending plan, your conscious spending plan. But essentially, it's a budget. Like, it is a budget. And I know budget gets a bad rap sometimes. I can see why people want to name it as something else or call it something else. But they are essentially saying the same thing, but probably just using different terminology. Because Tiffany's book also outlined it in a similar fashion as well, and some of them put more emphasis on certain areas. Like Tiffany is the budgetista, so she definitely broke down how you can create a budget and know your fixed expenses versus your non-fixed expenses, and just giving you a high level overview of you being able to calculate what you are spending out on a regular basis and seeing where you can kind of cut back on that. He talks about it in the book, but it doesn't go into like as high level as Tiffany did. And April says, they don't even give me the option to use my HSA on non-medical. LOL. Well, probably because you're not old enough yet. That the card is like, decline. We are not spending on this at all. But once you get to be over 65, you can spend it on whatever. And then April says, I'm going to Cynthia's for Christmas. 15 gifts this year. LOL. All right. So let's see. So we are over the hour mark. So I'm not going to go into the 401k. If you do have access to a 401k, the information he provided is very, very helpful. But I will make sure I talk about it on Tipsy Tuesday next week as we continue in the book. The next chapter of the book that I'm going to try and cover, because his chapters, they give you kind of overview, but I don't know. So the chapter 5 is Save While Sleeping. And then chapter 6 is The Myth of Financial Expertise. And then chapter 7 is Investing Isn't Only for Rich People. So I might end up doing 3 chapters, since that is chapter 7 is where he gets back into the investing and stuff. So, and I'll have to see what Save While You're Sleeping is about, and The Myth of Financial Expertise. I might even skip over that depending on what information is in there. But yeah, so that's what we'll be doing. So let's see. Let me see any other comments. I hope this information was helpful to you guys. Who is opening up their Roth IRA? And I don't know what kind of account I have. I have to see if it's a Roth IRA. So if it's not a Roth IRA, I'm definitely looking into opening a Roth IRA for myself this week. Cynthia says, April, remember, everyone drops off the list when they get grown. So basically, Cynthia is saying, you are too old. And April says, I'm 100% willing to stay in a child's place, Cynthia. I don't want to be grown. None of us want to be grown. We don't want to be doing all this adulting stuff. But, all right, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. And I will see y'all on next Tuesday. Take care, everyone.